On November 28th, Karl Anthony Towns suffered a lower calf strain in a game against the Washington Wizards. It was later determined that Cat would be out for 4 to 6 weeks. But it may have been a blessing in disguise for somebody else to shine, and it has been for Minnesota Timberwolves backup center Naz Reid. He's been playing so well, some Timberwolves fans have completely forgot about Towns, and some of them are even saying that he's better. I won't go that far, but let's talk about it. Naz Reid is a super skilled offensive center, and he's been waiting pretty patiently on the bench ever since Gobert got there because his minutes have been reduced quite a bit from last season, and his opportunity has been reduced quite a bit as well. In terms of his skill set, he's actually quite similar to Cat, which would explain why this season there hasn't been much of a drop-off in terms of when Naz has been in the lineup and when Cat's been in the lineup. They're both extremely skilled offensively, both can shoot, both are big bodies, and they can both get to the rim pretty well and have similar impact on the defensive end. Naz was even named Big Jelly coming out of high school because he's got such a big frame and he's extremely skilled on the offensive end. And there's a reason why he was one of the top players coming out of high school. He's extremely talented. Naz had already been playing pretty well off the bench this season, averaging about 10 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1 block. But ever since Cat has went out, he's really improved, and the Timberwolves have done pretty decently without Cat as well. Since he's going to have more minutes since they're down one center, and he's even had the ability to start a few games. In December, he's averaged 14 points, which is pretty much exactly when Cat went out. So he's still doing pretty well, and they haven't really missed Cat too much. As I mentioned before, they're pretty much the same in terms of their skill set and their shooting, and on defense, Naz is very similar as well. He can hold his own, he's a little bit of an above average defender probably, and he's a solid rim protector for about 1 block a game, which is not too bad considering the time that he's had this season, which has been pretty limited. His per 36 numbers are ridiculous. He's pretty much averaging like a block and a half, 2 blocks a game, 22 points, and that just shows the impact that he could really have if he gets the real minutes on a real roster. Overall, he's extremely similar to Cat. And although his individual numbers are obviously not as good as Cat, he's not an all-star, the Wolves have been 6-5 since Cat went out, which is pretty similar to the record they had before when Cat was still there. Actually, it's a little bit better, about 1 game better. They were about 500 before Cat came there, and a lot of that is due to Naz Reid. When Naz has started, he's been on an absolute tear, especially when Gobert went out and he got these starting minutes. He was absolutely ridiculous. He averaged 22 points, like 8 rebounds, a block, shooting 63% from the field and almost 54% from 3. That is really ridiculous, although it's only a small sample size. It just shows the talent that Reid still has. He's just waiting to be unlocked by another team or even by the Wolves. The 15-16 minutes a game he was getting really don't do his skill set and his ability much justice. And considering the problems that the Wolves have had when Gobert is in the lineup in terms of their offense, Naz really helped open up their offense, similar to like when they just had Cat before. Without Gobert, the spacing is way better for everybody on the team, and it really helped open up Anthony Edwards' playmaking ability. Over the last few games, and especially when Naz was in the roster, Ant was really facilitating for the offense really well. He was able to hit Naz on trailer threes, and there was just a lot more open space for everybody to start getting looks without Gobert clogging up the paint and just not really doing much on offense. And on defense, the Wolves took a little bit of a hit, but they went 3-0 without Gobert in the lineup, and Naz did absolutely incredible. The major difference between Naz and Gobert is Naz's three-point ability. He's able to help space out the floor for everybody else with his shooting that is above average for a big, and it's really good when he's in the starting lineup. 54% from 3 is nuts how good you are or how small of a sample size you have. And of course, Gobert cannot do anything in terms of spacing the floor for anybody. His jumper is about as reliable as my next door neighbor's, which is pretty bad considering he just hit our window a few days ago. So Gobert needs a ton of work in that department, as we all know, but Naz is still very elite in that category, and with him in the lineup there, the offense just opened up way more, especially due to his floor spacing ability. As the numbers say and as the team could see, when Naz was in the lineup compared to Towns, there was a very similar effect, and Naz is getting paid way less minutes, and he's still doing extremely well, putting up, when he was starting in the lineup, the same numbers as Towns pretty much, or even a little bit better, and shooting way more efficiently as well, not hogging the ball, moving along and just getting his shots within the flow of the offense. Naz is clearly talented, as anybody who watched his games could tell, but his contract is up at the end of the season and he's not getting paid very much right now, and he's not having a massive role. So somebody else could give him a really big role and he could be starting to blossom at one of those teams. So if the Timberwolves aren't careful, they could let him go and he could turn into something really, really big. And this would make them regret that Gobert move quite a lot, considering they're giving up all their young pieces, and if they let Naz go, that's just another one added to that list. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, stay rested. See you in the next one.